When you ask people to get out of their comfort zone, you can't just leave them hanging there. You have to really help them recondition their thought process. And so we developed, and it's the last chapter of the book, but in some ways it's the prize for getting through it. Of course, you can always just jump to the last chapter, but if you make it through the first 8 chapters, you end up at the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter is your reward for getting through the first 8. The first 8 tell you all the different ways that these ideas are being applied and helps you understand what the framework is. But in the 9th chapter, we start to tell you, okay, now it's time for you to start applying these ideas to your life and thinking differently. And the exercises are, I think, small in a sense. I mean, I think the typical exercise takes 10 to 20 minutes. And they could even seem mundane in some ways, but it's really about rewiring the way you think. It's about, moving off of the conventional wisdom. So the first one is this idea that we all need to understand what we are especially good at that has to do with how we make money. And this is in direct contrast to not only the way we're brought up in corporate America, but in a lot of instances, the way we were brought up as kids. We were taught that if you came home with a bad grade, you should probably work harder at that subject and get your grades up. When we're in corporate America, we have our annual reviews, our HR contact or our boss will sit down with us and say, you're weak in this area, you should learn how to be stronger in this area. What they're doing in those 2 instances is they're teaching us how to be well-rounded. That's a good example of a word that in conventional wisdom is a positive word, well-rounded. But in fact, very successful people are not well-rounded. They're very good at a couple of things, and they build their business around those things. So the first set of exercises is built around this concept of learn about yourself, and it's the letter L, and each of these letters spells a word. Learn, earn, assistance, persistence spells leap, and it's about taking the leap. So in the letter L, we're really asking you to refine what you're good at. In the letter E, which is called earn, we're talking about the different ways that people make money in companies and the different ways they end up with the accumulated wealth that is formed when people work hard. So, for example, most of America has a job, and that's how they make money. And what they're effectively doing is selling their time. Sell 40 hours of your time for a salary. Very hard to create wealth under those circumstances. So we talk about other models of how you can create wealth through your efforts, and it ends up with the very obvious one, which is owning a business. But there's increments in between that even folks in corporate America can apply. And so earning money is, how you earn money is very important. If you combine learning, meaning figure out what you're best at that makes money, with earning, you can see why figuring out what you're best at that makes money and then doing it in a company that you own is the best combination. That's L and then E. The next letter is A, assistance. And that's a deep, deep, deep dive into something that successful people are especially good at, which has to do with how they construct their networks. Assistance. How do you develop assistance around all those things that you're not so good at? There's a lot of exercises about how you cultivate your network with a sense of purpose. But I can give you the short version of it, which is hang out with people who are more successful than you. I mean, that's really easy. I can tell you a lot of reasons why that's hard for people. A lot of it has to do with a sense of self-esteem. Most people would like to be as successful or maybe even the most successful person in the room. Really successful people love to be the least successful person in the room because then there's the most to learn. So building your network in a way that's thoughtful and designed to help you do more of what you're good at, the letter L, is very important. That's learn, earn, and assistance. You can do all 3 of those things very well. Figure out what you're especially good at that makes you money. Put yourself in a position to monetize that very effectively. Build a network of people around you to help you execute. And it can still not work. That's part of life, part of business. So the P is for persistence. And persistence is why you have to keep doing these things over and over again in order to find not only the magic combination of learn, earn, and assistance, but you need a little bit of luck as well. And so persistence it's a common thing. Again, talk about our kids. We all tell our kids, when something doesn't work out, we say to them, try harder. We don't always take that advice ourselves. And in fact, there's plenty of evidence that people give up too often. Recently, I was with a group of startup, entrepreneurs. And we started to talk about how we've all perfected the art of starting up. Everyone can do a startup now. You know, there's cloud-based services to help you do it. There's all sorts of education on how you start up. There's almost no education on how you push through when the going gets tough. Build a product, put it in the marketplace, and then all of a sudden the market starts to tell you what it likes and doesn't like about your product. That kind of persistence through adversity is a much more rare quality. And interestingly enough, the ability to try again, and then try again, and then try again, is in fact a huge differentiator between people who succeed and those who don't. Because everyone will tell you it took them 3 or 4 or 5 tries to get it right. So people who give up too early never get to the 3rd or 4th or 5th try, and they wonder why they don't have the success of other people. So learn, earn, assistance, persistence. Each of those have exercises in the book associated with them about how you can start to think that way. And I think in each of those cases, we're asking you to think differently, and that's not so easy for people. And L.E.A.P is powerful, even though it actually feels simple. It sounds simple and it sounds ordinary, but it's extremely powerful, and the research proves it out.